What's going on, guys? I'm not sure if I've done a video on this yet, so let's just do it because it's very, very important. I stumbled across some Instagram page. I don't even remember what it's called, some kind of weird page, and I already unfollowed it. I followed it originally because they were posting some pretty quality anti-Zionist material, and being anti-Zionist is not the same as being anti-Semitic. Sorry, go pound sand. Two totally different ideologies. But anyway, but he also posted a lot, or they or she, I don't know. It didn't really specify what gender the person was, man, woman, whatever. But they didn't mention it. They had posted a lot of content from Nick Fuentes, who's pretty hardcore anti-Zionist, but he's also kind of controlled opposition in that he plays on the whole, he's a white nationalist, and I guess you could call him that. I mean, I don't know much about him. I never really took him very seriously, and I always knew that the media was going to portray him in the same way they portrayed Candace Owens. Like Candace Owens is a racist and an anti-Semite and blah blah blah. And then you watch her, and she's none of those things. She's not perfect. I mean, I'm a radical anarchist, guys. Nobody's perfect. Hardly anybody is. Hardly anybody with a platform, especially. There's lots of guys just out there, just regular people, who are, pretty hardcore like I am, anti-government, anti-state, pro-absolute fucking freedom under all circumstances, Different conversation, but I'm a radical anarchist. Candace isn't perfect, but she's not an anti-Semite. She's, very, very level-headed. And her criticisms of Israel and Zionism and U.S. foreign policy as it relates to that are very, very on point. So I tried to give Nick Fuentes a chance, I guess, just listening to the clips that he had posted on this IG page. And a lot of it was just very, very, posting about statistical instances of, black on white crime, and and relating them to like if you had 3 different colors of frogs and one color of frog was eating the other frogs, what would you do with that color frog? And it's trying to make the connection between the amount of the percentage of black on white crime and the percentage of just crime committed by blacks, and it just as if it's purely a nature thing, that and as if there's not like a globalist, like the globalists went after black people first. They destroyed the black family first. Black people had a very strong family unit, very, very Christian family unit back in the 40s and 50s and 60s, before the civil rights movement took over, and before the communists, before they took over, and they went right after the family, and they went after black people first because white people didn't like black people, white people didn't care about black people. That's how they always operate, guys. They go after the marginalization. They go after the marginalized groups first because you don't care about them. Then they set the precedent, and then they slowly creep into taking your rights, like the war on terror, right? The war on terror was sold to us as a war against Muslim jihadists, but it was really against you. The Snowden and the WikiLeaks revelations all proved that they really didn't care very much about Muslim extremists. They were trying to create a surveillance society for you. The NDAAs and Patriot Act authorizations that have always been, the real ID that Trump is the first president to really try and implement. Like, imagine if Kamala Harris tried to implement real ID. Y'all be fucking rioting. But Trump's doing it, and just whatever. At least he's not Kamala. Kicking out them illegals. But going after the small-time child traffickers, like allegedly this guy from El Salvador, that everybody's up in arms about, but not going after the Epstein client list. The list is sitting on my desk, Pam Bondi, and we got nothing. You're a joke. You're going after You're going after the people vandalizing Tesla dealerships. But the Epstein client list still roams free, and we all know who they are. All the fraud exposed by Doge, and not a single arrest from it. But I'm digressing. So he's playing into that divide and conquer game, and that's what makes him controlled opposition, because it's the oldest trick in the book, guys, and it's really, really tiresome that we don't get it yet. We just don't get it yet. All of this left versus right, liberal versus conservative, black, white, yellow, red, brown, the genders, like you got 36 different genders now. Like that is all classic. The religions, the religious sects, Protestant, Catholicism, Sunni, Shiite, Sufi, it's all divide and conquer. They do it on purpose. And it's all designed to keep us at each other's throats, while the people above us, laugh and take all of our money and all of our freedoms, and we're all focused on the wrong enemy. And that's the funny thing about it is, like most of the people responsible for black racism against white people is white people. It's all white liberals. Like the BLM and the Antifa movement, that wasn't a ground up operation by just black people. That was white liberals telling black people that white people were the enemy. And some of them actually believe it. The useful idiots. There's always the useful idiots out of any movement. Like the vegans are the useful idiots for the globalists, and then the ground level BLM and Antifa protesters, they're useful idiots for the globalists. But it's all the globalists are all mostly white people, white Jewish people, white and Jewish or Jewish people. And he's playing into that divide and conquer game where it's just like, we don't want to be near you, and there's a point to be made. I don't want to be near the ghetto. Like I don't want to live near ghetto areas. But at the same time, I don't believe that that the ghetto exists because the people in the ghetto are inherently lazy and prone to crime. That's a learned, conditioned behavior that goes back a long, long time. You have to understand psychology, guys. You have to understand dark occult rituals, if you just study the Nazis and how they and their mind control tactics, their psychological operations, and just imagine several generations more advanced than that. They've been at this for a long time, guys, a long time. And if you don't understand that, if you don't understand their manipulations and their tactics and the way that they're inside your head right now, every single fucking one of you, even me just probably making this video is probably like not outside of their matrix. You know what I mean? Like it just, like even though I'm exposing them, I might be just exposing them in a way that is beneficial to them, and somehow, I don't know, some way. That's just how insidious their mind control is. You have to be aware of it, and you absolutely, one of the biggest ways that you can shield yourself from their mind control is to not fall into this divide and conquer game. No matter. Anybody, these idiots like Fuentes saying that white people are under attack. White people might be under attack, but they're not under attack by black people. All right, they're under attack by globalists who are using black people to create strife between black and white people so that you're not looking at all of the horrible shit that they've got planned for you, that they're implementing, that they've been bragging about for generations, that they were going to do, have done, and are doing. That's how the game works. So, every time they try and get you to point your finger at black people, or if you're a black person, they try to get you to point your finger at white people, understand that that is a mind control, divide and conquer tactic. And, the most important thing that you can do in that circumstance is just not react. Even if it's, obviously you want to defend yourself, an individual. If you're under, if somebody's attacking you, then fight for your life. Absolutely. But, don't go on the internet and listen to people like Nick Fuentes and get all worked up when he says that white people are under attack by black people. Because, it's a tactic. It's a stratagem. It's an agenda. And it's getting you focused on the wrong enemy. And the wrong enemy will cease being the enemy as soon as you recognize that they're not your enemy. Same with black people. As soon as black people realize that white people aren't their enemy, then they'll stop attacking white people, and then white people will stop looking at black people as the enemy, and then we'll realize who's been up above all of this the entire time, just orchestrating the whole thing. There's a whole illusion, and it's very, very difficult to do because there's people are tribal, and people hate and fear. I don't know if it's natural for them to hate and fear what's different than them, but it's very easy to convince them that what is different from them is something they should hate or fear or not associate with. So you really have to know your enemy, guys. You have to know your enemy, and the enemy is not other people. Not other people. See, many people are foolish and get caught up in the tactics of the enemy, and then they become the enemy. But you have to recognize that you have to, especially if you're a Christian, that's where Christ says, "Forgive them; they know not what they do." They don't know what they're doing. They don't know. They don't realize how they're being manipulated. And if they did, they would realize, they would realize who the real enemy is, and all of this would end. If we all realized who the real enemy was, and we became acquainted with, the tactics of the enemy and shielded ourselves mentally and spiritually and physically from the enemy, then this would all end very, very quickly. It would be over very, very quickly. But the tactic of divide and conquer is very, 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 very powerful, very, very useful. It goes back to at least Julius Caesar, how he conquered the Gauls. He divided their tribes up and then conquered them. And if you think, imagine thousands of years have gone by since then. How many different tactics and methods that have been developed to make that an even more powerful method of conquering people. So anyway, I hope you take that to heart, guys. Black people, white people, we are not our enemy, and I'm not just saying that to be all kumbaya. If you are attacked directly in any instance, then you should absolutely defend yourself. But don't be listening to people on the internet telling you you're under attack and then go into fight or flight over it. Because that's what they want. That's the purpose. That's the agenda. They can't hurt you in that instance unless you let them. So don't let them in your heads. All right, love you guys.